Hello and welcome to Spotlight 814. I am your co-host, Brenna Thumler. It's so exciting to finally be able to do this introduction without Ryan here. Sorry, Ryan. um, we are joined today by Nick Hambruch, who is playing Shrek in the upcoming national tour at the Warner Theater here in Erie. Nick, it is so nice to have you here.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, we're just going to ask you some questions here and get to know about like your experience with the show and your history of acting and everything. So the first thing I'd like to know is kind of what is your theater origin story? Like, did you do this when you were younger? Is this relatively new? Tell me about you and theater.
Alrighty. Theater was something I got into by accident. Actually, I grew up in I grew up in Cape Coral, Florida, which at the time there wasn't a lot of performing arts down there, especially where I went to school. Um, there was no big performing arts programs coming about there yet. And so I grew up doing sports and things. That's just what was there, and my parents would take me to all the games and such. And while I had fun, it wasn't something I was passionate about. It was just something I did because that's what the kids around me were doing. So I
Yeah.
went along and did that. Um, and it wasn't until later on, with local connections, and my sister likes to dance and all these different things, that we found out about this local community theater. And I didn't have the intention of going down there to audition, but you know, she was going. I was like, let's just okay, sure, let's go down there. And I ended up doing that audition, and I got the show. And after I did that show, even though theater was something that I didn't really know much about, there was this sense of like family and working together to make something, which I thought the football scene was all very, oh, I'm the best, and no one can
Right.
be like it was very, it was a much different energy. And so just being in a place where everyone was just so happy to be there and do the thing that they love was so welcoming and inviting. And I was like, I really enjoyed that. I want to do that again. And so I got into it by accident, but then shortly thereafter, um, on the news, Ramin Karimloo, who had just become the Phantom for the first time, he was Rebel for a bit, just became the Phantom, being honored as the youngest Phantom, went on the news, sang a bit of Music of the Night. And I heard that, I was like, oh, people can sound like that. Interesting. Also, also my grandmother grew me up on musical films,
Mhm.
and so put all these happenstances together, and you make one awkward theater kid living in Florida in a land where there was no real theater
Right.
scene. Um, but it was fun, and I was always the theater kid of my school. There was no theater kids in the schools that I grew up in, and it wasn't I when I went to high school, we made a little theater department, and it wasn't until I moved to Arizona, my sophomore year of high school, that I got there like, oh, do you want to take theater class and this and that? I was like, what are you talking about? I had no idea.
Oh my gosh. What was the very first show that you did? What?
Ooh, so the very first show I did was it was a showstopper. So it was like a review that had big songs and things from all the big famous shows.
Oh,
I would say
okay.
the first musical I actually did. I played JoJo in Seussical.
Okay.
Little
Oh my
little
gosh.
JoJo.
Yeah. And where were you in Arizona? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, so I like Scottsdale, Phoenix area.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just took a trip to
Mountain
Arizona.
Hills.
Yeah, and Arizona is awesome. Arizona is like a really, really cool state. That's amazing. It's so cool when you find something you love by accident.
Mhm.
It's it's a really lucky thing to fall into, especially when it's like a family. So what was the experience like auditioning for Shrek?
Well, it was interesting. So I just got off of the national tour for Jesus Christ Superstar. I was in the 50th anniversary tour for that, and I was with them for nearly 300 shows,
Oh wow.
which was a great time. That another show near and dear to my heart. I love
Uh-huh.
that show so much. Um, and I had just got off of that show, which was a Wojcik casted show. And so when I got off of that show and I was looking for jobs, and I saw that they were attached to this project, and so I called them up and I was like, I want to be involved. I want to do it.
Uh-huh.
And so I didn't hear anything for a while, and I was like, okay, maybe Maybe I didn't get it. That's fine. I'll go on. I'll move on to the next thing. But then I got a call saying, "Hey, we want you to send in a video of you singing a couple of the songs and the scenes, and we need it in like a couple of days." And I was out of town helping family. I didn't have a place that I didn't have time, whatever. I was with my cousin, we were on his way to his work. At the time, he was flipping houses. And so we stopped in a house that he was flipping. I was like, all right, set up some lights. And he's reading Donkey behind the camera, and I'm doing my best off the cuff Shrek impression, which was not very good at the time. We had to work on that. But so it's just a bunch of us looking like idiots in someone else's home, filming this video, and we sent it off, and then they wanted me to come to New York, and then I did a couple callbacks, and then here we go.
That's a fantastic story. Oh my gosh. Lucky house. So I mean, speaking of like songs in Shrek, do you have a favorite song to perform, or
Ooh,
one in general?
I gotta say, my favorite song is "Who I'd Be." I
Okay,
love
yeah.
that song so much. It
Uh-huh.
is so special to me, and it's just really an honor being able to go up there and sing it every night. It's a really important song. I feel.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with Shrek the Musical. I was actually in it at a community theater a few years ago, and I think the songs are so incredible. They're
Hmm.
so well and they're so fun. There's so many fun dance numbers. It is just like a rollicking good time, this show.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. So we worked closely with Janine Desori and David Lindsay Bear, who wrote the score, the book, and the
Uh-huh.
lyrics. Um, and because this version, it is the Shrek musical that everyone knows and loves, but it has new elements to it. Some things have been adjusted, some things have been melded together. New material. It's its own version of the show for sure.
Oh, awesome.
And it's really cool because something that I think is really special about this version is that it is very clearly the version of the show that they want to do.
Right.
It's this is this is the show that we wanted to make, and we're making it. And so in that way, it's like being part of a passion project of theirs. Um, and so being in the room and watching them work together to make something new, but also having a voice and being like, hey, this moment's really cool, but this moment's doing this, and they're like, oh yeah, yeah, I agree. Let me write something, and like so, just on the fly, it will change.
Oh, wow,
Um,
okay.
and so I'm like getting to be in the room with the creators and work on something that is familiar but also new is really really cool.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's awesome. And I mean, like, it's so cool to, like you said, have this thing that is very familiar and well known and like kind of bring it into this new form. I saw this video of you talking about you watching Shrek as a kid, and you mentioned like the Simon Cowell and like in the Shrek too, like watching the
Our
Faraway
faraway
Idol.
idol, let's go.
Yeah,
I would get so mad because like there's the on the DVD there's the faraway idol section,
yeah.
and you can choose who you want to win, and if it was a competent person in their eyes, if they'd be the winner and single song, and if you pick someone that the DVD thought wasn't good, Simon Cowell would just be like, "It's me." But now, when you go on, like they have the bonus feature section, like you can do it. I know on iTunes you could still do it. I don't know about streaming services. I remember the end of the movie, but like now you can't pick anymore. Now it just automatically picks Simon Cowell. I'm like, you've
What?
taken away my right to vote. I
What?
feel so gypped.
Oh man, the world continues to fall apart even in media. Wow. Um, okay, so do you have what is the biggest challenge that you feel like you faced, either in this show or just in theater in general?
Mm. Um, I there's a lot of things I can. If I'm going to go with Shrek in general, I would say something that I had never done before is I've never in my life done a Scottish accent before. And like
Okay.
so I grew up with kids, that I grew up in the Shrek generation. I grew up with people that were doing Shrek impressions all the time, and I just never thought that I could. I never, it was just something that I was like, oh, those it comes naturally to them. I can't do it, and that's fine. I'll just move on, whatever. So when I was first getting called in to do this show, I was like, oh, but we were but we worked on it, and we got Shrek came, and it was great. But yeah, so that's that one. I would say as far as struggles with in doing shows and hurdles they have to overcome. The two things is one being a plus size actor is a challenge that it's very specific what people want in certain shows sometimes, and being able to get to the point where you're in the room and being able to showcase what you can do, what you're capable of, is it's a hard thing for people to be able to do.
Hmm.
It's not a situation that is brought up often.
Do you feel like that
So
has gotten better with time, or is it pretty much the same as it's always been? Or do you feel like things are changing at
I think
all?
it has and hasn't in some ways. I think it's changed in the sense that now that it's to really get out of the hood of it. I mean, it's become a situation of now that I think we are more approachable as a society to talk about certain things like this, and I think organizations have caught on to it more, and so are more cognizant of it in the sense that I don't know that um, the fat phobia of it, if we're going to put it that way, is gone. I just
Hmm.
think that if it's there, it's more of the mindset of, oh, we really should, take a look at it or else, it's so I think there's still a problem there.
Yeah.
I just think that there's more platforms to talk about it,
Right.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And the other hurdle that, well, it's not really a hurdle, but something that is interesting, is that I was so going back to the history side of it. You know, theater was something that I found, and it meant so much to me. And then I auditioned for universities to study musical theater,
Hmm.
and I did not get in. So I said, okay, uh, I'm not going to go to school for theater then. I'm just going to work, do shows, and get experience and go in the back way, which is a really can be a scary thing.
Hmm.
But also, I think that there's something to say about if you are somebody who has a passion for something and you try to get into the room where, you know, where all the people are going to, or the space in which to learn or be in that environment, and you try to go step through that door and they tell you no, that does not mean that you are not capable of doing the thing that you set out to do.
Hmm.
Um,
Clearly,
so
because here you are.
I, because here I am. Like I remember there was a funny situation of I applied for the music theater department over at ASU and I didn't get in. But then when I was on Superstar, we played ASU Gamage, the big national tour house that's on ASU's campus. And someone had leaked wrong information that I was an alum of ASU. And so when I got there, I had a lot of different uh, magazines and such wanted to do interviews and talk about life on the road as a proud ASU alum and what it's like going through the college system and then making it out on the other side. And I had to be
Yeah.
like, sorry, you guys didn't want me.
Oh
Whoops.
my gosh. Well, yeah. Geez, they're lost then. Man.
um, so I don't know that I would say I would put it as a struggle so much as I think it's important to say that don't let anyone else tell you what you are and are not capable of. Because if something matters to you, it's going to show. You just got to keep working at
And I feel like a lot of times, I mean, artists will go to college and it's all what they put into it. So it's like if they don't put in the work, then school's going to mean nothing. It's
it.
all about how
The,
much you work at it.
yeah, to me, the most important thing about college, um, besides the experience and working on the craft, um, is the connections. So
Right.
that was the one thing that's the hurdle that I had to overcome is going out into an industry where I don't know anybody. Um, and but if you keep working hard, you start to make connections, and that's the other important thing is when you're a performer and you're just starting out and you're trying to make your way into the industry, the most important thing that you can do is go out there, meet everybody, meet all the casting teams, go into all the things you can, and show that you are a good and genuine person, and that you're willing to work.
Hmm.
Um, Show that you have respect for the people in the room. But also, if they are giving you notes and things, don't take it as, oh, they didn't like your performance. They just want to see if you're willing to adjust, on the fly to a director's note. It's a test.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not about you. It's about how you are willing to work with people.
Hmm.
Um, so those are two big things. But yeah.
That's great advice for anybody who's listening who is interested in getting out there, getting into professional performing. Uh, like where should they be looking to make those connections? Like where did you go to start meeting these people?
I mean, a good place to start if you're looking for auditions, you don't. I mean, you want to start going out for these bigger jobs. You don't know where to look. For someone, especially for people who don't have an agent, I would say a good place to start is always Playbill jobs. Playbill is always going to be posting the bigger open calls. Actors Access is a really, really big one. Um, and so all of the big jobs that are going to bring you to New York or that will accept casting tapes and all these different things, you'll be able to find there. And I think really paying attention to the casting teams because they're your saving grace.
Hmm.
So really making good connections and not just a business connection, but making good with the people in that business is really, really important,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Um, and but also if you make ingenuine connections and you go and get the job and you act like somebody else when you get the job, people will talk, people will know. So um, you have to really make sure you're being the best person that you can be.
Yeah. That is
I think
excellent
that's really
advice.
important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speak on that note, like working with so many, I mean, an enormous cast of creatives and performers. Can you talk a little bit about the other cast members in Trek?
Yes. So we have incredible cast members. We have Cecily Dion Davis as Fiona, who's great. We have Neftali as Donkey, who is so funny and so genuine, and I love him so much. And Timmy is an absolute riot as Farquaad. Um, and something I really like about these performers in this show is that everybody really makes these characters their own. You've never seen these characters done the way that it's done in this performance, and it's really, really special to see the performers sort of meld the characters into their own, which is um, I think a rare thing I see when, especially on bigger productions when they come out. You often see, we want this to be exactly the way that it was before, which is exactly the way it was before, which is exactly the way it was before.
Hmm.
And being able to see shows where people can really make the performances part of them, I think is the easiest way to get a genuine performance, and B, really something special and unique, so that every time someone goes in this show, it's them giving their personal performance of it and not just a copy of somebody else. Um, and there's new, and especially with the new material, there's bits and things that are so part of who we are as people that have now been you know, put into the show. And I think it's really, really cool to see.
That's awesome. Do you have a pre-show ritual? Do you do anything like before you go on stage every night?
Ooh. I mean, it's hard. So, especially as we've been adapting and testing out the new ways to get into the Shrek, there are things that I do, but sometimes, depending on how much time we have before, it has to adjust. But there's a lot of times, people get into a group circle. We'll do like a little pre-show check-in, if we have time, of course. Um, but I think it's really important when you're before a show to provide a really positive energy, uh, and just be a warm light for everyone, because everyone's going to come in and everyone's got a really stressful job to do. There's a lot that goes into putting the show on from all
Right.
the different departments and all the different people. So just like coming in and being the best person you could be, again, same as the casting room and in the conversation we were just having before. um Showing up and being a welcoming space is really, really important. And so I really love it when people have ideas for things they want to do for pre-show rituals and whatnot. The same thing, we also had one on Superstar. We had a little thing we did in every city that was exactly the same, and we
Okay.
would change it up depending on where we are. It was really cool. But yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know about you or the show, or any advice you have for them? Just like wrap this up.
Hmm. Um, I would say something that's really, really important when starting out in this field is knowing when to listen and when to speak. I think when you're coming into a job that people don't understand, and another thing that I realized is that I thought I was the odd man out because I was the person that didn't go to college, and maybe there was just terminology and things I missed. Only to realize that a lot of what you deal with when going on tour is stuff that you don't learn when you go to the college. And so there can often be in projects a combination of, oh, this is all new stuff I've never heard of before in terminology and negotiating contracts and things like that. But also um, a sort of, oh, I don't understand, so I should put myself in a place of power to change things. So joining things, doing new productions, new types of jobs can be scary. So I would say, don't sweat it. Come in, show up, be the best person you could be willing to listen to what it is we have to do, what it is, you know, what you have to do, what others need to do, and really make sure you're working together to make a big, healthy working environment. Um, I would say that's a really big thing. Don't forget, don't be afraid to follow your passions, no matter what anyone else says to you. Um, and yes, keep going.
That's great. That's great. I feel like this system always makes us feel like the most important thing is just doing the job. But it's
Yeah,
so much about the people. It's everything is about the people and the relationships.
exactly.
So that's excellent advice. Where can people find you, like on social media or whatever?
Yes. Instagram and TikTok, I am at Nick of Music, NickOfMusic. Let's go.
Awesome. Okay, well, everyone go and follow Nick and be sure to catch Shrek the Musical at the Warner May 14th to 15th. It's going to be a great show. I'm so excited. We will be there tomorrow night. That's the 14th. So we're so excited
Yay!
to see you and the whole cast in this updated version. So Nick, it has been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for giving your time to this and sharing all your knowledge.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Great, great. I will see you tomorrow at the show.
See ya.
Bye. Thank
Let's
you.
go.
Thanks so much.
No problem.